Please go subscribe to the Rumble channel for Franchise Sports TV under the name FSTV22. Now, I'm using that Rumble channel for any purposes of me getting kicked off YouTube and also for more of my spicier joints. It's free as well. I have the freedom to say whatever I want to say as well. So go subscribe to FSTV22. That is Franchise Sports TV 22 on Rumble. Alright, everyone. Here's part 2 that I promised of the top, let me say this correctly, top 10 single seasons for teams. In the last episode, you know what? You go watch you go watch part 1. I'm not gonna tell you. Go watch. Nah, I'll tell you. I ain't gonna be like that. So, no, I want you to go watch the video. Go watch the video. Never mind. Go watch the video to figure out what the bottom 5 was. But anyways, let me start up. I'm gonna go right into it. Go watch the other video. Go watch part 1. So, in the top 5 of my favorite single season from teams, from NBA teams, at number 5 is the 2022-23 Denver Nuggets, the most recent on this list. Now, the reason why they're on this list, high on this list, I actually enjoyed watching this team play. Jokic played the game, and not just Jokic, but the Denver Nuggets played the team the right way, moving the ball, getting his but Jokic was getting the ball, moving the ball, getting his teammates involved. Jamal Murray seemed like he couldn't be stopped. Aaron Gordon needed to do what he needed to do. He was nice along with others. The team finished 53-29, first in the West. They finished last year 5th in offensive rating, but they finished 15th in defensive rating. But yeah, they was better than they was way better in offense, but you couldn't even tell. I think they really picked it up defensively in the playoffs. They won in 5 games against the Timberwolves, and then they will play the Phoenix Suns, winning in 6, making Kevin Durant look like a shell of himself out there. And then they swept the referee back Los Angeles Lakers, and then they took it all against the lucky Miami Heat in 5 games. And I say they looked, that was a run. They should have never made it that far. But anyways, it looks like the Denver Nuggets are going to be on the same trajectory as it was last season, this season. But yeah, that was not a bad run, finals run for them. I think they can do it again, but let's see. I thought the Bucks can do it again after they won. I'm sure Golden State Warrior fans thought they can do it last year, but everything we always don't get what we want, do we? Now at number 4, it's the 2007-2008 Boston Celtics. And these members of this team still talk about this one to this day, like it's a war story. But this is one of the first super teams in the super team era. Even though there was other super teams before, but this is the first super team, and all the rest of the super teams came after. Combining Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen with the young Rajon Rondo. This team finished 66-16, but struggled with the Atlanta Hawks in 7 games. The Cavs with LeBron James in 7 games, but winning 6 against those Peskies. Still very formidable, even without Ben Wallace, Detroit Pistons. Well, you know who came next. It was the revamped Los Angeles Lakers, but even with the Black Mamba himself, the Lakers were no match for the Celtics as the Celtics won their 17th title. I really like this one because it was great to see Ray Allen get a ring, my favorite player. And it was nice to see him get a ring beating Kobe Bryant for it, because some of you might know him and Kobe, I guess you could say they kind of went at it earlier in a couple years before this even happened. I made a video about it. And yes, like I said before, Kevin Garnett, Eddie House, Paul Pierce, and even Doc Rivers still talk about this ring like it happened yesterday, like it was a war win or something. Like it was a war. I remember that championship. While Rajon Rondo and Ray Allen would later win rings with the Celtics' arch enemy, the LeBron. Interesting, isn't it? And at number 3, the 2013-2014 San Antonio Spurs. The redemption team, the redemption Spurs. They wanted to extinguish the demon they faced the previous season, losing to Miami. The Spurs were hurt, but they came back this season focused and ready. I called it after that Game 7 L in the NBA Finals the previous year. I said the Spurs are going to go back to the finals. I don't care who they play, they're going to win it all. Well, they finished the season 62-20, first in the West and the playoffs in total. They were 7th in offense, 3rd in defense, like most Greg Popovich Spurs teams always are, top 10 in defense. But puzzling, they went 7 games with the Dallas Mavericks, the 7-seed Dallas Mavericks. Vince Carter hitting that shot too. But they went 5 games with the Portland Trail Blazers and then 6 games with the Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, OKC Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. And then they proceeded to play Miami once again, and this time rocking Miami in 5 games, sending LeBron James back to Cleveland, as well as getting harassed by a young Kawhi Leonard. And this will be the last hoorah for the Big Three, finals-wise. Kawhi Leonard will win Finals MVP, his first out of 2, and Tim Duncan would tie Kobe Bryant in rings with 5. And this is probably, I want to say it's the last great year for the Spurs, but that 2016 playoffs, they actually, I can't even say it was the last great run. Maybe it's the last great one with Tim Duncan, because I think they made it, I don't know if they made it to, no, they made it to the conference semifinals in 2016. I think they lost to the OKC Thunder, but they will get back to the Western Conference Finals the next year. But that was pretty much the last hoorah for Kawhi on the Spurs, as he would get taken from under by Zaza Pachulia. But anyways, at number 2, 2010 to 2011 Dallas Mavericks. Now we traveled up to Dallas, Texas. This run for the Mavericks was memorable because the Mavs took out that super team, the Miami Heat. LeBron was exposed and pretty much cemented LeBron as not the GOAT, as he hid for this series. But anyway, the Mavs came out of nowhere this season with a record of 57-25. They were 8th in defense and offense. There was a 3rd seed in the West. They ran through the Portland Trail Blazers in 6 games, swept the defending champion Los Angeles Lakers in gentleman's sweep. I don't even think they gentleman's sweep, now that I think about it. I don't think they gentleman's sweep OKC that year. Maybe they did. But anyway, they did beat OKC in the Western Conference Finals before winning in 6 against the Heat in the finals, with Dirk winning Finals MVP, avenging that 2016, I was about to say 2006 Finals loss against the Miami Heat. This team had an old Jason Kidd. Keyword old Jason Kidd, because the clowns like to keep saying Jason Kidd was there, but he wasn't a Jason Kidd from 2002 or 2001. But Jason Kidd, Caron Butler, Peja Stojakovic was actually his last year. Deshaun Stevenson, which everybody seems to forget he was on that team, finally getting his vengeance against LeBron from his Wizards days. J.J. Barea, Tyson Chandler, and people forget that he was on the team, but he kind of bounced up before the season really got cracking due to personal reasons, was Tim Thomas. Yes, Tim Thomas. The Bucks, Tim Thomas. Nets, Tim Thomas. Chicago Bulls, Tim Thomas. Phoenix, Tim Thomas was actually on this team. And then, of course, Jason Terry himself. And for number 1, drum roll. It's a weak-ass drum roll. At number 1, and I think everybody probably know what number 1 is because I haven't even mentioned it yet. Maybe some people don't. They new to the channel. The 2020-21 Milwaukee Bucks. Now, this season did start out weird due to the condensed season. And, because of the pandemic. But anyways, the Bucks start out the season with trades. No more Eric Bledsoe. No more George Hill. Bring in Drew Holiday and add in Bobby Portis. This team started out slow somewhat, kind of what they're doing now. And I started out not watching. Mainly because of reasons I won't list due to the previous season in the bubble. But I ain't gonna mention why. I ain't even gonna mention it. You can kind of guess. But this team caught my attention after PJ Tucker. This is when I really started watching. When PJ Tucker got traded to there, which I questioned a bit. And then I realized why. But towards the end of this season, this team put on a late run, beating that failed super team a couple of times. And when I mean failed super team, you know what failed super team I'm talking about. A couple of times later in the season, the Bucks finished 46-26, which could have been 56-26 in the regular season, a normal regular season. They were 6th in offense, 10th in defense that year. So they was top 10 in offense and defense. But it was a step down for the last 2 previous seasons, which I think they was either number 2 in offense and number 3 or number 1 in defense. They played their tormentor from the previous season, the Miami Heat, sweeping the Heat in 4. Nobody know what happened. Nobody still doesn't know what happened to Jimmy Butler in that series, but they will lose Dante DiVincenzo to a nasty ankle injury. But then, after they swept the Miami Heat, they were playing an epic 7-game series where some of these KD fans seemed to get out of their head against the Brooklyn Nets, which felt like the finals at first. That's how intense it was. But once they got past the Brooklyn Nets, I kind of sensed that they possibly can be going to the finals. Because once I found out they was going to play the Hawks, I'm like, this might be their year. And then again, he got game 1 against the Hawks. They lost it at home, which I broke something. I broke a board. I broke my writing board. I literally did. Because that game was despicable. But anyways. But they turned it around, winning in 6 games despite Giannis hyperextending his knee. They lost the first 2 games in the NBA Finals against the Phoenix Suns before putting on an epic 4 games. And of course, Giannis' 50-point game in Game 6, which won him Finals MVP. And people's talk about. Actually, before that Game 6, I was even considering that Chris Middleton might even be up for Finals MVP. Because I think maybe that could be the conference finals when he scored 40. I think one game he did score 37 points. And Chris Middleton during this time, he'll look like regular Chris Middleton, and then like a game later, he would look like the incarnation of Michael Jordan. And next thing you knew, this fool was hitting turnaround jumpers and clutch buckets out of nowhere. So you gotta give props to him. And I fully understand why PJ Tucker was on this team because, especially towards the end of the season, he made freaking Devin Booker look like a shell of himself. Chris Paul was a non-factor due to Jrue Holiday's defense. Good times. Maybe this current year, could replace the 2020-21 run, but I doubt it. In every round of the playoffs, PJ Tucker would face Trevor Ariza, former Rockets teammate. James Harden, former Rockets teammate. Clint Capella, former Rockets teammate. And then Devin Booker, former Suns teammate when he was on the Suns. So he basically run the gauntlet against all his former teammates in one. Crazy, ain't it? But anyways, that concludes my list of the top 10 single seasons, greatest single seasons, or I should say favorite single seasons from all 30 certain NBA teams. I know Turon made a video like this, so I was so inspired by it, so I had to do it myself because I thought about it. I said, I got 10 I can think of. But anyways, tell me what you guys think. What is yours, too? I want to know what your guys' are. Anyway, I'm out. Peace out.